This shit was so good I had to make it a two-parter. I just stumbled on this shit. And this this mean virus, this mental virus, this unconscious virus is reaping havoc in our communities. And if we learn to understand it and to recognize it, and you know what the cure is? You have to tune in to find out. Good morning, fam. 10 pounds lighter. My energy is coming back just a little bit. I don't know I do know what's going on. Shit, in day 9, that's what's going on. Shit, I got to make it through the day. Right? Day 9. I'm fasting. I'm just on that right now in this phase of the fast. I'm on that ambrosia. I'm on that water, family. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on it. And I'm like this, family. If I could do this extreme, you could do the little. Look, establish a system for your life. Build a system into your life. That's what it's about, right? That's where the success comes. Is you developing the best life. The best life is achieved through engagement with systematic processes. Remember that. Remember that, right? This is the wisdom of our ancestors, and they're talking to us, and they're reaching out to us, and all we got to do is reach back, family. Reach back. And I'm not saying that it's gonna be easy. I'm not saying that it's gonna Hold on, I got somebody just commented on magnesium, potassium, etc. are minerals there. Assumption that I don't necessarily trust about. All right, I'll talk with them about that later. But anyway, family, listen. You know what I'm saying? I tried it. I'm stressing, right? Part of what we're doing with this life care, with this self-mastery, is helping you master the part of your life that needs to be mastered. And in order to do that, you got to set up systems. Your life is run by a system. And your goal is to escape that system and move into your own, which will change your vibration, which will change what you see, because you can't help but change your mind once you step outside of the system that you're in. And I'm not telling you to quit your job. You know what I'm saying? I'm not telling you to give up your friends. I'm not telling you to stop eating beef or pork if that's the shit that you into. I'm not telling you to stop smoking. I'm not telling you to do none of that shit. What I'm telling you to do is start establishing systems that are life-giving, right? That are based on life principles, right? Once you start, you're gonna really start understanding the power that's available to you. Right now, many of you are prisoners inside of other people's systems. If you up, you might be watching this on somebody else's time. You sold your time, right? You giving it away for pennies. You know what I'm saying? When your time is very, very valuable, because you'll never get it back. Right? So now, today, what we're gonna talk about? I got some research. I got the idea for this video from Vsauce, right? Because they had one episode where the dude was talking about the scapegoat, right? And I was listening. I'm like, God damn, this sound like me. This sound like my people. What the fuck? Scapegoat? Hey, whoa, right? So he went into it and he started talking about this thing called the mimetic. The mimetic. It's called mimetic. We'll find out, but it's mimetic desire, right? And the scapegoat, right? The question is, are you operating in your life as a scapegoat for somebody else's system? See, because in order to hold systems together, especially when they ain't yours, requires a scapegoat. Especially the way it's set up right now. Now let's go through this real quick. Mimetic desire and scapegoat mechanism. This is from Culture, a journal of extra-conscious perception. There's a little known French philosopher called René Girard, who has been quietly working away at the social theory that, if correct, has the potential to overturn everything we think we know about ourselves and the world we live in. In outlining this theory of mimetic desire, mimetic rivalry, and what he calls the scapegoat mechanism, Girard argues persuasively how sacrificial violence is the dark secret underpinning all human cultures. The scapegoat mechanism is the means by which a group transfers its collective hostility onto a single victim, discharging it and returning the group to unity. So basically, the scapegoat is the individual or the group of individuals that the larger group imprints their guilt, their shame, their anger upon, their aggression upon. And through applying this aggression and through making sacrifices of these individuals, listen what happens. Through discharging it and returning, it returns the group to unity. Collective they transfer its collective hostility onto the single victim, discharging it and returning the group to unity. So by sacrificing, by transferring the group's aggression onto this individual or this group that serves as the scapegoat, it allows the group to find unity. Black folks, that position sound familiar? Huh? How many scapegoats you done seen sacrificed on TV? And I don't mean to call my brothers scapegoats, but we got to look at it. Gotta look at it. Collective aggression, huh? Transferred onto an individual, huh? Ancient rituals. Ancient deep-seated rituals. See, a lot of us, we be getting caught up into this whole conspiracy thing, right? And yes, I hear you on the conspiracy piece, right? But this is the issue that I have with it. And I told y'all with this before. I am a conceited, arrogant motherfucker. And I find it hard to believe. You know what I'm saying? When I try to plan a surprise party for somebody, that shit falls through, right? I try to plan a party or an event, that shit falls through. You mean to tell me there's somebody out there so smart that they could plan 100 years? A conspiracy? For real? And shit don't happen? I'm too arrogant to believe there's a motherfucker out there like that. Because if man can do it, This is what one of my ancestors, Marcus Garvey, told me. If man can do it, if men have done it, man can do it. So if it can be done by one man, it can be done by me. It can be done by any of you out there. So I don't believe that there's a smart motherfucker like that. But I do believe there are undercurrents that are flowing. There's shit happening on the subconscious level that a lot of us can't see, right? That a lot of us, the currents that we can't really grasp, the shit going on, right? That's on autopilot, right? Because we got to understand, like I keep telling you, our conscious perception, our ego and shit is the youngest part of us. So there's a lot of shit going on in the universe that a lot of us can't see because we're seeing it through our ego eyes. But we got to understand our subconscious and our superconscious and our unconscious, or whatever you call it, the higher self, this shit has been around since the beginning of time. So there's a lot of undercurrents that's happening that a lot of us can't perceive because we're caught up into believing that we are capable of seeing everything just with these conscious eyes, just with our ego. When your ego is a baby, stop letting your baby run your life. That's what I'm saying. Plug in the systems. The stars got systems. The planet got systems. Galaxies got systems. Everything runs on a systematic process. But you, pull a system into your... Do some life care, my friend. Get on that Nguza Saba challenge. Just experiment to see if you could develop your own system. That's all I'm saying. All right. Let's keep it going. As I've tried to outline above, American and other dominant groups' penchant for scapegoating is hardly a secret, but Girard's repositioned it from being a cultural artifact to being the cultural artifact. So he's saying that the scapegoating mechanism is the central thing of culture. Now, you don't have to necessarily agree. I don't necessarily agree. You know what I'm saying? But people have to do something to unite. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't necessarily agree about the whole scapegoating thing being necessary in all cultures. Right? Now, I do believe there are similarities between all cultures. Right? But all cultures, I don't believe all cultures need to form around the idea of a scapegoat. Only the super hyper aggressive ones. Right? But we do find evidence throughout history to kind of support this. All right, here we go. The problem which scapegoating solves is what Girard terms mimesis, an unconscious form of imitation that invariably leads to competition. So it's about human beings and what we call the neural neurons, which we mimic each other, right? We learn by copying. We're so good at it we don't even see it, right? So when we're talking about our children and them not learning and shit, it's because we're not. They're learning, but they might not be learning what they need. Right? You know what I'm saying? Because they mimic us. Right? So if your child see you reading, you know what I'm saying? Your child will unconsciously, at some point in their life, pick up reading. If your child see you talking to a camera, your child will you know what I'm saying, talking some good shit to a camera, your child will pick that up. If they catch you putting bullshit on camera, they're going to pick that up, right? Mirror neurons. Mimicking. Right? And we got to be really aware of this, especially dealing if we're talking about generations, because in our daily toast, we talk about toasting our children's children onto infinity. We got to be careful about what we think, say, and do. Why? Because our children mimic us. An unconscious form of imitation that invariably leads to competition. Girard describes desire as the most virulent mimetic pathogen. Desire. This idea was simply stated as long ago as 1651 in Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan. If any two men desire the same thing, which nevertheless they cannot both enjoy, they become enemies. We can see this easily enough at the microcosmic level. If two people share an affinity for each other, they make friends and share the common interest. The problem, Gerard writes, is that this very affinity will eventually lead them to desire the same thing and end up as rivals. Two best friends fall for the same woman. The affinity quickly turns to antipathy, and they end up murdering each other to prove whose desire is stronger. An even more common example is when two children are playing with toys. One picks up a toy and instantly the other wants to play with it. A previous harmonious arrangement quickly dissolves into anger and tears. I noticed this with my youngest daughters, right? One is enjoying something, and she looked like she having too much fun. The other one, all of a sudden, wants the same thing, right? This shit is real. A previously harmonious arrangement quickly dissolves into anger and tears. Mimesis is like an endless dance of unconscious imitation in which people find themselves desiring things because they are desirable by someone else. You know, that's even the secret to game, family. You want to be desired by one thing, you got to be desired by something else. Who wants you? Right? Who wants what you have? Right? Who wants what you have? Other people see other people wanting it. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden they want to get it. Keeping up with the Joneses. That's called keeping up with the Joneses, right? Mimetic desire aroused not by the object itself. Now check this out. Not by the object itself, but by the desire of the other for the object. So it's not even an object. It's the desire that's uplifted in the individual that wants what you got. Right? Have you ever seen the cases where individuals go into beef and they beefing and the one kills the other and then all of a sudden the motherfucker surrenders because he don't even realize why he killed the person? Competition becomes its own end, and the object of desire becomes irrelevant as previously civil neighbors become consumed by rivalry. Gang warfare, street beef, sisters and brothers and sisters falling out, sisters and sisters falling out. They are now locked into a negative identity in which each needs the other in order to feel real. See, we have allowed ourselves to fall into the mind. We let's put it this way. We're operating in a system that requires us to have an alter ego to war against, or we're not real. We measure, like for example, you know how great you are by how many enemies you have, type shit. This idea is popular in movies such as cop hunter killers, doppelganger narratives, and in comic book characters like Batman and the Joker. Opposite sides of a single coin, strengthening and justifying each other through opposition. It is also seen everywhere we look, not quite so starkly drawn. Girard's theory extends this model to encompass and explain entire society. It argues that without these releases provided by sacrificial violence, mimetic desire leads inevitably to mimetic rivalry and will finally culminate in mimetic violence. Humans are so highly imitative that without the scapegoat mechanism, violent outbreaks within any social group will spread like wildfire and decimate the whole group. This is what's happening to us, family. So rather than being a scapegoat of society, we might need to find some form of scapegoat that we all could focus our energy on. Right? See, because now, this is the issue. enemy is a little bit different than the scapegoat, because the scapegoat becomes the victim, right? And it is eliminated, or it is elevated. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk about that in a minute, right? But an enemy can always be eliminated. In our position right now, we got an enemy that supposedly has such a hold over us that it can't be defeated. So what's happening is that the mimetic violence is turning in on itself, right? Then on top of that, many of us don't feel worthy to even raise to the level where we will want to engage with others, because we don't feel worthy or at their level to even want to compete with them. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like we have been put permanently in a lower position mentally. And now we have to raise ourselves up so that we could feel worthy to this, worthy to compete. Now, but the issue with that is when we compete, we end up being the scapegoat. Right? And we have to be willing to defend our position. This is why we have to start learning to grow together so we could rise as a community, because it's harder for them to do it to a community, although they have done it historically. It's harder for them to do it to a community. But now we are a community of knowers. We know they're coming for us. I feel so much more comfortable knowing that my enemy is coming for me, rather than constantly waiting and guessing. I can either get prepared or I could take action. All right. If two people desire the same thing, their desire will soon spread to a third, a fourth, and so on. Once the object is forgotten, mimetic rivalry snowballs into a widespread antagonism. The final stage of the crisis is when the antagonists no longer imitate each other's desire for an object, but each other's antagonism. Think Rwanda. So this shit spreads like a virus, right? This right here is the real devil. I mean, this whole us copying each other, this whole us mimicking each other, this unconscious shit that's going on within us that we are not monitoring. To cite a current example, Girard's theory might explain a series of attempted shooting. We'll skip that part. All right, let's go here. Mimetic theory originated with René Girard, a French polymath, which means multiple genius, whose seminal insights into the nature of human desire bridges diverse fields such as anthropology, literature criticism, religious studies, psychology, ethnology, sociology, philosophy, and others. One of the marks of genius is to notice something vitally important and seemingly obvious, but which never before had been recognized as important. Many of y'all children are geniuses, especially when it comes to them pointing out bullshit in your life. That's why y'all be getting on them. René Girard's great discovery is a potential Rosetta Stone for human sciences. The theory is, my fault, I'm reading the first one. I told you that one. This one, I didn't get where it was from. But they do have, I apologize, I didn't get where this is from. Rosetta Stone for Human Science. The theory is based on the observable tendencies of human beings to subconsciously imitate others, and the extension of this mimesis is to the realm of desire. The consequences are staggeringly profound. The following is this person's, and where is their name at? So I give them credit. There's no name, but it's from an article called "Towards Shared Ignorance and Towards a Defective Reading of Plato." What is mimetic theory? So, all right. So this person runs through some stuff. So let's get through it. You know, I gotta do my little side thing. Shit. I want to give a person credit. Alright. Mimetic desire. Human beings naturally imitate desires of other human beings. Have you noticed that? Obviously, yes. Humans' desire is, by and large, mediated desire. Girard calls this mimetic desire after the Greek word mimesis. Someone signals a desire for a particular thing, and now you discover that you want that thing. Most advertising works through this mechanism with demonstrated success. You and I are mimetic creatures. We copy without, you know what I'm saying, subconsciously we copy, right? Mirror neurons start to fire and we start to imitate, right? Those people that we look up to, those people that's around us, we pick up. And you can even see when an individual walk into a room, they begin to copy the gestures and even some of the language. Some of us got friends that are so good at it that they don't even notice they doing it. Like you walk into a room and you can even see this person's, not just their physical aspect change, you can see their mental state change, and you can also hear their diction change. Like if they walk into a room with people with an accent, they will pick up the accent. And you be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you being fake? They're not being fake. They are a little bit more mimetic than you are in that sense, all right? Mimetic desire. Human beings naturally imitate the desires of other human beings. Have you, oh, my fault. Yeah. Triangular desire. Let's look at this. Desires, as analyzed thus, has three participants: a desirer, an object of desire, and a model or mediator. All right? Just two, a desire and an object. So why does it usually seem as if desire is just between you and the object? Because mimetic desire operates on a pre-rational level. That means before you start thinking. Neurological studies have shown that this reflective imitation is present even in newborns. The phenomenon is pre-conscious, grasped only after a later act of reflection of it at all. Think about this. You don't even know, some people don't even know they're doing it because they haven't been doing the self-reflection that we've been doing, far as those of us that's taking the challenge, because we got to reflect on ourselves, right? We got to start really looking at ourselves so that we can make sure that we're not falling into this trap, right? When we are desiring stuff simply because other people are desiring them, that we are copying people, right? Copying people, forming and building our own personal road to our personal hell. I want y'all to think about this shit. This shit right here will change your life, right? Who the fuck are you copying? What group are you copying? Who the fuck you trying to be like? You got to be clear on that. This is why myth, legends, and stories are important. Why? Because you get to identify your own heroes rather than unconsciously being given heroes, unconsciously given models to follow. And in those unconscious models that you are following, you are paving a road to death and destruction and destroying your own people. Not being conscious of this shit is culturally inappropriate. At least if you're going to be a culture builder, at least if you're going to be a nation builder, could it be that our fucking organizations are falling apart because we are not talking about this shit? We are not breaking this down. This is secret and sacred knowledge. Hold on. This shit, look, you think I'm playing? Go find one of your baby or a cousin or somebody young that can't even talk and start playing with them and start touching parts of your face and watch the baby start trying to imitate you. That's the mirror neurons firing. This is you come pre-programmed with this. This is how human beings survive. This is a necessity for survival and the development of culture. A necessity. Many of us are acting out in ways because we have not reflected and have not taken the time to realize that we are acting on behaviors that we are copying. Look at how some of the kids get mad. They get mad like some of the heroes on TV. They react like some of the people on TV. They're reacting to models or models that have been put before them for a culturally inappropriate culture. Think about the movies they putting out for your ass. I'm sorry. The phenomenon is preconscious, grasped only after a desire, and thus blind to the second-hand character of our desires. Girard calls this blindness to the role of mediator in the origin of desire, i.e., the belief that I am the originator of my desire. Many of us are living under a deception that you originate your desire. Damn, this is going to help me to make it through these next couple of days. The romantic delusion. Mimetic desire seems obvious when self-consciously reflected upon, but such reflection is not at all common and is certainly not automatic. This is something you have to force yourself into. You have to plug yourself into a different system. Number 3, acquisitive mimesis. Among the species of desire is acquisitive desire, which is similarly mimetic. An acquisitive gesture in one person begets a corresponding acquisitive desire in another for the same object. Defensive gestures similarly give rise to the acquisitive desire in others, and well-known forbidden fruit phenomena. Acquisitive desires, subject to mimic mirroring, will inevitably attach themselves to a single object within the same field of play and generate hostility and violence. We see this with our kids. In such cases, this explains a lot. In such cases, the model mediator of desire first appeared to his or her imitator as an obstacle, a rival. If the mimetic model doesn't occupy the same playing field, there is no common object and thus no conflictual rivalry. Girard calls a model distant enough to avoid rivalry an external mediator, as opposed to the potential rivalrous internal mediator. The important thing to notice is that my mediator will first appear to the desirer as a rival and an obstacle, an opponent. Again, the mimetic phenomenon is pre-conscious. Because we kind of yell at our kids about Thank you for watching the video. I want you to subscribe. Click the bird right there, the fiery bird. And I also have a special video just for you, right there. And for those that want more information about Gye-Nyame journey, go to our site. It should be right about there.